Good afternoon. It's great to be here in Cape Town today, a wonderful city in a very truly energising country, and thank you to the whole South African team for hosting us. It's been just over 31 years for me, and it's good to be back. As part of this session, my job is to give you an insight into recent innovative race concepts in Australia. Hopefully you will leave with a view as to why we have done what we have done, what we have achieved, and where we're heading. I'll spend most of the time on Victorian races, but we'll touch on other states' races as well, if nothing other than to set the scene for later. So I'll start with some context of Australian racing. Horse racing has been conducted in Australia for over 200 years. Our most famous race, the Melbourne Cup, will celebrate its 160th edition this year. Whilst there have been important new additions over the last 50 years, like the Group 1 Blue Diamond Stakes, which is Victoria's richest two-year-old race, which will be run this Saturday, Australia's feature race calendar has been until recently very mature and well established. However, the landscape of Australian racing has been changing rapidly in recent years. There has been a drive to engage new audiences, grow wagering returns, and create talkability, which has seen a significant evolution in Australia's feature race calendar over the past 3 to 5 years. The All-Star Mile, the Everest, the Kosciuszko, the Jericho Cup are among the races that have emerged in recent years, each underpinned by a unique story. While our traditional marquee races remain the focal point of Australian racing, they now share the spotlight with more contemporary concepts like slot and fan-voted races. Before getting into the detail on some Victorian races, I'll quickly provide some insight on the Everest, as we will hear from Peter V'landys, the CEO of Racing New South Wales, on this later. The Everest is Australia's first slot race and was introduced in 2017 in Sydney by New South Wales Racing. It's a 1,200-metre weight for age sprint with 12 slots, sold initially for 3 years at $1.8 million each. The race offered prize money of $14 million in 2019, making it the world's richest turf race. Sydney's feature racing period has traditionally been in autumn. The Everest was introduced as the new headline race in the spring period. The race has been supported by extensive national marketing and PR campaign, with barrier draw beamed onto iconic landmarks such as the Opera House and Sydney Harbour Bridge. As mentioned, Peter V'landys has recorded some insights onto the objectives of the race, which we'll hear from in our panel session later on. Moving on to Victoria's All-Star Mile. So what is it? The All-Star Mile is Australia's first and only fan-voted race, and it takes its inspiration from Japan's Arima Kinen, but with an Australian twist. The All-Star Mile was launched in November 2018 and run for the first time in March 2019 at Flemington. The countdown is now on for the second edition in a few weeks' time on the 14th of March at Caulfield Racecourse. This fact illustrates its first point of uniqueness. It is our only feature race that rotates between tracks, being shared across the 3 metro racecourses in Melbourne, each of which will deliver the race day in their own unique style and facilities. The other key elements are the total prize money of $5 million. It is the world's richest mile race. Aligning with our vision at Racing Victoria of Racing for All, the entry fee is only $500 per race, with no further acceptance fees. This money is all donated to charity, with our current partner being the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne. The top 10 horses from a public vote secure their place in the All-Star Mile field, and one voter for each horse is chosen through a draw to become the horse's owner ambassador. The owner ambassador shares in $500,000 worth of prize money, with the fan aligned to the winning horse collecting $250,000. The last place owner ambassador collects $10,000. The balance of the field is made up of wild cards, selected to ensure the quality of the field is maintained. So what's the objective of the All-Star Mile? Outside the general principle of ensuring that our sport is successful and vibrant, there are 3 key objectives of the All-Star Mile. Firstly, to foster new engagement in racing. Secondly, to grow our Festival of Racing. And thirdly, to drive long-term engagement with Victorian racing. The Festival of Racing is the second peak period of the Victorian racing calendar. It is held between February and March in what is the busiest period of the state's diverse annual sporting and entertainment calendar. The Spring Racing Carnival, from September to November, has traditionally defined the racing in Victoria to the mass market and has been the focus of international competitors and visitors. In contrast to the Spring Racing Carnival, most major engagement metrics, attendance, viewing, wagering, have remained somewhat stagnant during the Festival of Racing. And customer research in 2018 highlighted that racing fans believe the period was missing a flagship race. Racing's core customer base is ageing within Australia, and the challenge exists for all administrators to foster newer generations of fans and participants. In a sporting and entertainment market that grows more competitive by the day, it is also important to innovate to engage and retain our existing customer base. So why a fan-voted race? To achieve cut-through in a competitive market, we needed something that was unique in Australia. Our sports and entertainment sector, driven by international influence, was fast making fans a more integral part of sport and changing the face of fan engagement. We needed to be part of that. So the All-Star Mile appealed for a variety of reasons. It is a unique concept not seen in Australia before, a point of difference, a demonstration of innovation and willingness to try something different. It aligns with our broader vision of racing for all. It's only $500 to enter, which is donated to charity. It is free to vote. There is genuine fan engagement. They control the race. They control the selection of horses. They themselves can be at the core of the race day and win life-changing amounts of prize money. There is huge opportunity for ongoing talkability with multiple milestones in the lead up to the race. We're announcing the top 10 vote getters tomorrow. This is amplified with fans, trainers and owners pitching their preferred runner, some through well-resourced and planned campaigns. It is an elite race that fits into the existing feature race calendar and provides a fitting culmination of the Festival of Racing. A world-class race with credibility that is accessible to non-racing people and smaller stables. The rotation of the race across the 3 premier tracks, with each offering a unique take. And last, and by no means least, it provides a vehicle to capture data for ongoing engagement and promotion of Victorian racing. We ran the first All-Star Mile at Flemington on the 16th of March 2019, a weight-for-age mile worth $5 million, and it was a fairy tale result on many fronts. I'd like to share with you this video, which provides a wonderful overview of the original All-Star Mile.
For the owners, the ambassadors that have got a horse today that they voted and then they were lucky enough to be pulled out of that hat, so to speak. 250 grand to one of them today. It changes their life completely. It's a great concept and everybody is having such enjoyment. A real buzz around the mounting out. Damien Monet, if Mystic Journey wins today, you're going to get $250,000. Is it true you're starting a new job on Monday?
Yes, yes.
Do you think you'll turn up if she wins?
Yes, I will. Definitely turn up. I'll be there, guys.
Well, let's have a look at the young filly. $11,000 purchase with a shot at a $5 million race.
What a story, what a story. And she is a major chance.
It's the $5 million All-Star Mile. We haven't seen anything quite like it before. It's about to unfold.
And they're racing in the All-Star Mile. And a beautiful line as well. Mystic Journey towards the outside is scrubbed forward. Le Romain began quickly, pushing forward Happy Clapper and also Mr. Moneybags. Hawkshot will lead clearly after 300 metres or so. Elise's about third last, just off the fence. Then Amphitrite around the home corner. 550 metres to go, and it's all to play for. Mystic Journey down the outside. Hartle's trying to get clear room, followed by Amphitrite, and then came Material Man. Elise's weaving through the pack too. At the 300, Le Romain Hawkshot grabbed by Elise and Mystic Journey. Elise on the outside, Mystic Journey a neck away, and Le Romain's going them a grandstand finish. Mystic Journey over the top takes the lead. She is what dreams are made of. Mystic Journey's won the All-Star Mile and exit a quarter.
She is simply too good. What a star filly she is. She cost $11,000.
What's this mean for you and for Tasmania, do you reckon?
Oh, very special. She was the first Tasmanian train Group 1 winner. She's now won the richest mile race in the world, $5 million in prize money. We only raced for $10 million throughout the course of the year, so she's earned half of that in a minute 36.
Let's go to Anthony Darmanin, who's with me now.
I never thought I'd be talking to you, Bruce, but it's just amazing, absolutely amazing.
Have a look around, just like winning the Melbourne Cup, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all my family's here. It's just unbelievable. Tassie's probably going crazy too, so I'm just so grateful.
Damien, the man of the hour, you have just won $250,000. What does this mean to you and your family?
Everything. It's just makes life so much easier for us, doesn't it, darling?
I can't believe it. I just can't believe it.
So I have an update on Damien Murnane, who features quite heavily in that video. He didn't last long in his new job on the Monday. He was a traffic controller, the guy who flips the paddle from slow to stop. Instead, he decided to travel to the US on a trip of a lifetime with his wife, who had timed her run perfectly, recently marrying Damien, having met him online. He has renovated his house, and he now works part-time at Bunnings, which is an Australian chain of DIY stores. It seems he's living the dream. So we had just under 140,000 validated votes recorded for the original All-Star Mile, which determined the first 10 of the 14 horses selected in the field. Incidentally, every state had a horse representing it in that first race. It succeeded in attracting a new audience to Victorian thoroughbred racing, as more than 70% of the voters, over 100,000 of the votes, were new to the Racing Victoria databases. It achieved truly national reach. Over 50% of votes were registered outside Victoria. 43% were female voters, with Facebook being one of the key referral channels. And the highest demographic segment was 25 to 34-year-olds, a younger audience than traditional year-round racing fans. So what about the quality of the race? Australia is well known for its broad ownership base. In Victoria, we have 70,000 registered active owners, and we saw the large syndicates play an active role in the engagement. The third highest vote getter, with 8,400 votes, was Urban Ruler, which was owned by an 800-strong racing syndicate. He was a Flemington winner, but had yet to place in group company. As a result, there was considerable debate about the quality of the field. Equally, this created great talkability and unique opportunity for owners and trainers to compete in such a race. The provision for 4 wildcards provided us with some quality control, and ultimately it was a wildcard, the Australian Guineas winning filly Mystic Journey, who prevailed. Despite the debate over the depth of the field, the race lived up to its record prize money and produced an international rating higher than other well-established mile races worldwide. A total of just over 16,000 people attended the All-Star Mile, which was held on the same weekend as the Melbourne Formula One Grand Prix. Attendance grew by 180% on the corresponding race day at Flemington the year prior, the Blamey Stakes Day. Domestic wagering turnover of the All-Star Mile was 66 million, which was 23 million higher than the hold of the corresponding Flemington meeting in 2018. The race was broadcast on mainstream free-to-air television via Channel 7 and achieved a national reach just shy of 1 million. This is in addition to the audiences on industry broadcasters Racing.com and Sky Racing. The final area of note is the media coverage. Coverage of Victorian thoroughbred racing in media channels from the announcement of the All-Star Mile in November 2018 through to the conduct of the race in March 2019 doubled on the prior year. This is a time of year when historically racing has struggled to get a voice. The whole Festival of Racing received a significant positive uplift, not just the All-Star Mile itself. This was in part as racing was more broadly getting positive commentary. but also because there was a narrative building around horses as they sought votes or a wild card in the race. Also interesting was that social media was central to voting campaigns, launched by owners and trainers with everything from free hamburgers and beers to holidays and shares in horses. These fueled traditional media coverage along the way. Before wrapping up, I also want to mention a couple of other innovations in Victoria. In December 2018, we launched Australia's longest flat race, the 4,600-metre Jericho Cup, to celebrate the centenary of a historic moment for Australia in World War I. Approaching the end of the war, the Australian Light Horse Brigade was planning a major offensive in Palestine. But in order to lull the enemy into a false sense of security, a race meeting was conducted as a ruse. The main race was called the Jericho Cup, over 3 miles through the desert sands, and the winner was a horse called Bill the Bastard, Australia's greatest warhorse. I'm told by the Integrity Department that that will not get through the naming checks that we now currently have. In keeping with Australian war history, the modern Jericho Cup, which will be run for the 3rd time at Warrnambool Racecourse this December, is open to Australian and New Zealand-bred horses and features qualifying races in both countries. All races on Jericho Cup Day pay tribute to great Anzac war heroes, particularly where horses were involved, and the race meeting has developed into a great celebration of history and culture. Its founder and key supporter, Bill Gibbons, deserves special mention. The evolution of T20 cricket in Australia, known as Big Bash, has prompted calls for racing to offer a more fast-paced product to compete with other sport and entertainment offerings. The weekend before last, the VRC launched rapid racing at Flemington, a Sunday twilight meeting from 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. with 7 sprint races, all on the straight, with a jockey challenge, metro versus country, throughout. So in wrapping up, I've touched predominantly on my jurisdiction, the state of Victoria. However, as I mentioned, there's a number of innovative race concepts that have emerged right across Australia, and each is being well embraced. It's important as an industry that we continue to challenge ourselves and look at ways that we can innovate our core racing product to not only capture new audiences, but maintain our existing supporter base. From my perspective, it's important to understand the problem you're seeking to address or the opportunity to explore, to set clear objectives and targets, and be courageous enough to trial initiatives and give them the opportunity to evolve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I really want to see the Everest and All-Star Mile. Please give me an entrance ticket. Okay.